Welcome to the Pay Yourself First podcast. My name is Chris Jolly, and I'm on a mission to financially empower millions of entrepreneurs. I want you to make and keep more money so that you can begin implementing and turbocharging a plan for creating financial freedom your way during the life cycle of your current business without spending a ton of time or becoming a professional investor. You see, most of the financial teachings out there are made for employees, not entrepreneurs. If you wouldn't listen to someone who doesn't have kids about parenting, why take business financial advice from someone without a business? Are you ready to break free of bad advice and follow the trail of other uncommon entrepreneurs so you can get from where you are now to the lifestyle you were aiming to create when you started your business? Then stick around. Here comes another episode of Pay Yourself First, where the only investment we offer is the one you make in yourself. Hello again, y'all, and welcome back to the Alchemy of Abundance Virtual Summit. We're talking about having more pleasure, more fun, more money, and more of all the great stuff that you want in life. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, my partner, Tilly Storm. Tilly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, babe.
And as always, I am your host, Chris Jolly. Now, Tilly is a Somatic sex and intimacy coach and host of the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire podcast. She's been captivating audiences since 2017 with her unique blend of wisdom, southern sass, and unapologetic authenticity. With over 350,000 devoted listeners and counting, she's garnered recognition as one of the top 20 sex coaches worldwide by the Coach Foundation. Tilly, thanks so much again for coming on the summit.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Now, your talk is entitled Rewiring for Abundance Using Somatic Healing for More Pleasure and Prosperity. So tell us, Tilly, how does somatic healing rewire you for more pleasure and abundance?
Yeah, well, for those of you that aren't familiar with the word somatic or somatic healing, what it really means is soma is a root word for body. So the body is really the tell-all for what your unconscious mind believes to be true. And there's really no amount of affirmations or mindset work that can level us up to increase our capacity for more pleasure or abundance if our unconscious mind doesn't feel safe to have it. So somatic healing is all about going into the body via the sensations to access what the unconscious mind actually believes to be true. And from there, really imprinting a new story, working with parts of your unconscious mind to get it on board with your goals for creating more, whether it's more money, more pleasure, more orgasms, whatever it is, so that you can have the success that you want in your business or the pleasure that you want in the bedroom. So that's really what it's about.
Yeah, I have found that as I have interviewed a variety of different people from different expertises for the summit, the one thing that we kind of keep bumping up against again and again is exactly what you said. And I know there's a ton of people out there who have been through this or who are going through this right now. You feel like you've done all of the work, right? You've done everything you can to heal yourself, to fix your mindset, all of these things, and yet you continue to get the same results. And that's because of, I found largely, what is hardwired into your nervous system and the limiting beliefs that we have taken on. What are some tools that you use with your clients to help them move past that?
Well, it goes into a lot of the integrative powers that I learned when I studied to be a sex, love, and relationship coach, which I'm very grateful for the tools that I learned because they were the ones that actually shift and change people's reality of pleasure and abundance. So everything that we do to up-level our pleasure are the same exact tools that you can use to up-level your abundance or vice versa. So some of those tools can include things like really going into the unconscious mind and coming from a place of acceptance and understanding of why the parts and pieces of you that might not be on board with what you want, why you put them in place in the first place, years and years and years ago. So, for example, if you grew up in a household where money was scarce or you always saw your parents struggling to make ends meet. You're going to likely take on a story of like, money's hard to come by. Maybe there's just not enough to go around for everyone. If someone else gets more, that means I get less, right? So we might pick up these stories, and as a young child, what we do as humans is create stories to make sense of the world. So we create a story that kind of gets embedded in our body and in our nervous system that thinks, okay, this is just how it is. This is the baseline. So when we're really looking to up level our experience of abundance and pleasure, it's about discovering, when did we create that story? And often we're going to create an identity around it, because if we've gone decades believing a certain thing, our ego gets really attached to keeping that intact. So if money is hard to come by, no, our ego knows that that story is safe, right? Like holding on to it is maybe a good idea, because we know we can get through life with that story. Maybe it's not getting us where we want, but I don't know, life's not that bad. Maybe we struggle, but we're not going to die. Maybe it's difficult, but we're okay at the end of the day. But if you're done with that story, then some of the tools that you really want to use are to, instead of berating that part of you, getting pissed off or mad about it, or feeling like, oh, I just wish I could X that story out of my life. That's not going to work. That's called going to war with yourself. So it's really about accepting that part of you with acceptance and gratitude, and eventually love for what that part of you has done, which is keep you where you're at. It's just trying to keep you safe. And this is completely against the narrative that we often get in the personal development world of like, oh, you can just, make your mind believe something else. You can override that thought. No, you can't. So once we come to a place of acceptance and love, then we can move forward with maybe letting that part of you take a back seat, maybe telling it can retire or go on a vacation, or just let it be in your conscious awareness while discovering. And I think this is a big thing that you've really brought out on the summit, is discovering a new empowering identity that can help you create what you want. So that's the tool that we're really looking to get to. First is discovering the disempowering narrative, and then discovering the empowering narrative.
Yeah, it's really interesting because that identity piece I find is usually the largest piece, but also the last one that we realize we need to work on and that we get to working on. And I'm starting to think you could probably do away with 98% of therapy and personal development and all of that if you could just get people to realize the identities they have that are keeping them from moving forward and help them shift them. But as you know, if we have a story that's been running in our head for 20, 30, 40 years, our whole life, you can't just wake up one day and be like, okay, that's not me anymore, right? There are techniques and tools you can use, but you need to consistently work to continue to embody that identity and make it authentic. What are some of the ways that we can do that?
Oh my God, this is literally the crux of any transformation. It is all about identity. I mean, you and I have both studied so many different modalities of healing and therapy, and we've done all of the things that I know about. I mean, maybe there's stuff I don't know about, but at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, who do you believe you are? What do you believe about yourself? And personally, I've gone through, since about January, February this year, this up level in my identity, recognizing that I do have a millionaire identity inside, and tapping into that every day. I honestly think that this embodying a new identity work, this is where self-development stops. And I think there's so much room to help people, to give them practices and tools to really root in and embody their empowering abundant identity. Because honestly, I don't see people delivering that. I don't see people really talking about ways to do it. But personally, here's what I've done. So first of all, it takes time. Embodying a completely new identity isn't something that's going to happen overnight because your nervous system is very slow to respond, and that is okay. The nervous system adjusts and adapts in titrated fashion. So any type of modality that's just like, oh, come in and we'll fix this one thing, all of a sudden, I'd be a little weary of it, right? You can make some headway with it, but it's about coming back always to the consistent daily small things that add up over time to create a snowball effect. And we're talking about a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years of really working on, I call it putting your crown on. Okay. So when you're wanting to embody a new empowering identity, whether it's for abundance or pleasure, your multi-orgasmic self, whatever it is, it's about, I envision myself in meditation or breath work, literally like, okay, crown on, I'm going to show up as the queen of money, the queen of pleasure, the queen of whatever. And when I step into that identity, really feeling it as real and five senses reality. Okay, when I call her Millie Tilly, my millionaire version, when I'm embodying Millie Tilly, what do I see in my surroundings? What do I hear? What do I touch? What do I taste? What do I smell? And then just really being in that reality for a certain period of time, which, comes back to Joe Dispenza type stuff of, when we're really in the present moment reality of the thing we already want, then we're more likely to create it. And that's also kind of what sex magic is too. So even sexually speaking, we can get to that place from that route as well. So there's a couple of different routes through meditation, breath work, sex magic to get into that embodied state. But it really takes consistently showing up to feel it and feel it as if it's happening right now, to collapse timelines, to manifest that thing into being right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you are working with people, what do you find are some of the most common blocks and limiting beliefs that keep them from opening themselves to receiving more, whether it be more pleasure, more money, or any other form of abundance?
Like 95% of the time, the first thing that is going to pop up is an inner child. So, an inner child with their disempowering narrative and belief about whatever the thing is that you want, especially when we're looking at relationships and pleasure. But because that's just what I do for a living. But if I were a money coach or a manifestation coach and working with people around abundance, I guarantee you I would probably see the same thing, that almost always it's whatever your younger self believes to be true about money, what you got taught. And it's about separating who you are now and what you want to be from that thing in the past. Can you make space to discover that those beliefs aren't even the real you? It's not the present moment you. It's an outdated, disempowered version of you. So if it's not the inner child piece, it's a repressed or blocked emotion. So whether it's guilt, shame, fear, disgust, those are the four main ones. Especially around pleasure, disgust is a little more common, but around money, it might be as well, because if you grew up believing that only terrible people were wealthy, then you might have an unconscious disgust around money because you don't want to be associated with that. Your ego doesn't want to be a part of that. So yeah, either inner child or some repressed, blocked emotion is what pops up.
Makes sense. Don't let the kids run the show. You wouldn't let your kids run your life. Don't let your inner child run your life either.
But it is. That's the annoying thing in our relationships and in our businesses. Like, oh my God, if you just did inner child unconscious unprogramming, uncoupling around your business, like how much are you unconsciously running your business from your younger self's beliefs? Like you are. If you're having problems and you've come up to a block, you fucking are. Like I know it's kind of hard and what, but it is. And you know, that's why we get to do this work, because it really takes the patterns and the glass ceilings that we come up against. And when we do the work on the unconscious patterns and beliefs, then we can bust through them and reach new levels.
Yeah. Now, Tilly, your area of expertise, as you said, is sex, love, and relationships. Can you explain how tapping into sex magic, how working to improve your relationship and partnership can actually lead to more abundance in other areas of your life, like more abundance in business, more money, more fun?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first thing I want to say about that is that sexuality is like the last frontier of personal growth and development. It's also the last one that people want to look at. But I guarantee you, if everyone who wanted to be the best version of themselves, if you have had that thought or come to that realization, if you go directly for sex and you skip all that other garbage, you're gonna like take off decades of your healing journey right there. You're going to go to the root of everything. So sexuality work is the deepest, most in-depth, because it works at the level of mind that is needed to up level and upgrade the stories. So, you know, people who are into mindset or yoga or I don't know, cognitive behavioral therapy, dude, that stuff, you'd be doing that stuff for decades. And maybe it's gotten you some help. You know, I'm not saying that it doesn't help people, because I know it does. But at the end of the day, you dive into sexuality, you are going into the unconscious, you're going into the source of the blocks itself. If you have pleasure blocks, then guaranteed you have money blocks. If you don't know how to surrender and let go of control and sex, guaranteed you don't know, you probably have a big problem surrendering and letting go of your business to employees. If you struggle to hit that next level, then it's likely you're probably only able to have one orgasm during sex, and multiple ones seem really challenging for you, right? So there's so many parallels that we see. In regards to sex magic, this is a very advanced sexual practice. So I kind of look at it as like there's 3 stages of sexual awakening and growth, that when, you know, if you were never had done any personal growth or development work before, and you came to me and was like, okay, I want a better sex life, but I also want more money in my business. Great. Here's how we're going to work through that. We're going to work through first just reclamation. Can we get to a point where you feel really amazing in your body, where you don't have guilt and shame about your sexual desires, where you feel like you can show up and express yourself and your needs and your wants and feel like you can receive that? That's reclamation. Then we move into expansion. So expansion is about, okay, can I expand my capacity to receive more? Whether it's more types of orgasms, there's at least 8 different types, by the way. So if you're only having one for women, you barely touched the tip of the iceberg. Men can have 3. So expanding your capacity to receive more pleasure, you're also expanding your nervous system capacity to receive more abundance. And then there's the 3rd stage of growth and development in regards to sexuality, which is mastery. And mastery is once you've unlocked the pathways in your body to receive more, to move more energy through your body, then you can learn how to direct the energy and have control over it. And this is where practices like sex magic, learning to use your sexual energy to manifest what you want, it is an advanced technique because those pathways actually have to be open. And for most people, they're not. And then you can also use your sexual energy to heal different parts of your body. And, you know, if you have chronic issues, if you have pain, if you have illnesses, you can learn to use the sexual energy to send to certain parts of your body to heal it. But these are mastery level techniques. So anyone that's never done sexuality work and you're like, oh, sex magic, I'm gonna go right into it, you might find that the results are kind of lackluster at first. And if so, that's generally because you still got blocks on those other two levels, the reclamation and the expansion phase. So that's kind of how that works.
Gotcha. Now, something else that I want to touch on is, will you talk a little bit about how self-worth plays into all of this? Because I know that I've found kind of repeatedly, just like most of the issues of us moving forward are related to our identity, so much of our inability to receive more is just because we don't feel worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would say when I was doing tons of sexuality practices and my training back in 2016, 2017, there were some practices where, and what I mean by practices, I mean embodied self-pleasure practices. So it's literally self-pleasuring my way to feeling worthy. Okay. It is so powerful to use pleasure as a catalyst to upgrade those stories. There was one practice I remember doing where you were literally self-pleasuring, touching yourself. And in the audio guided practice, you were repeating to yourself, I am worthy, I am worthy, I deserve it, I deserve it. And you're so in your unconscious mind. So when we go back to somatic healing, self-pleasure is a somatic tool to heal because you're activating your body and your senses. You're activating your unconscious mind. So whatever you're telling yourself in the moment of self-pleasure is what's going to manifest. So if unconsciously, or maybe you are aware of that thought of, I'm not worthy of pleasure, I'm not worthy of pleasure. And every time you self-pleasure, you have that iggly wiggly thought in your head, oh, I'm not worthy, or I'm not worthy of abundance. That heightened sexual state is what you're going to manifest. So when you're really wanting to up-level your sense of feeling worthy and deserving, you can use self-pleasure to rewire that story. There's also a tool that I use with my personal clients where I literally have them envision their own internal thermostat of feeling worthy. So if you were like, if I were to ask you, how worthy, Chris, do you feel of experiencing a business that pulls in $1 million a year? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say right now?
7.
Okay. So out of 7, you would then recognize, what does that feel like in my body? What does that actually feel like in my body to know that I'm only worthy of $1 million a year business at a level 7? And really going into those sensations shows us the blocks. Okay. And then I have you up that level. Okay. Internally, if you were to turn up that thermostat from a 7 to an 8, what does that feel like? And then from an 8 to a 9, what does that feel like? So again, you're getting into that embodied sensation of the thing that you already want. And that's, again, like imprinting that new identity, stepping into that fully worthy identity. What does it feel like in my body to even be worthy at a level 10? Holy crap. For some people, there's so many blocks from 7 to 10. And we get to work through those incrementally. They don't just disappear overnight, but the more that we really tap into what I call the felt sense, the sensations of worthiness, the more that it becomes familiar to your nervous system. The nervous system is always going to choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. So if it feels unfamiliar, it's like, nope. But the more you practice and get used to the sensations and the sensations, they might feel like a stretch or really hard to get to. The more that you can practice being in the sensational experience of worthiness, the more safe it's going to feel to your nervous system.
Fantastic stuff. Now, Tilly, before I let you go, your free gift is called 5 Days to Epic Pleasure and Passion Mini Course. The link for that is right below the video, so y'all can go check it out. Can you tell everybody more about that?
Yeah. So this is a conglomeration of pretty much all of the free things that I've given over the past 7 years. So it has everything on the nervous system and why it's kind of the root of transformation, why it's the core of transformation. It has everything about your erotic language. It's an amazing in-depth audio program to help you understand on a deep level everything I'm sharing with you now. Plus there's guides for how to start a jade egg practice, a relationship check-in with your partner, all sorts of awesome stuff. So yeah, go download it.
Excellent. Fantastic. Tilly Storm, thank you so much for being on the Alchemy of Abundance Virtual Summit.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And everybody else, thanks for tuning in again, and we will see you on the next talk. Ciao.
If you've listened this far, chances are you're an entrepreneur looking to become more financially literate and create financial freedom for yourself from your business.
The Pay Yourself First podcast
Is definitely here to help with that. My goal is to continue to share what I've learned about using your business as the tool to create financial freedom. But let's face it, it would take me years to share with you everything you need to know via these episodes. Creating financial freedom is something that most people never even consider, let alone make a plan for or take action towards. It's something almost no one was taught anything about. Doing it as an entrepreneur is even more challenging, especially without support. So if you're ready to get clear on what financial freedom looks like for you, come up with an action plan, and get the support systems and accountability you need, I invite you to consider the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur. I created the program to help entrepreneurs just like you get a handle on their personal and business finances and start building confidently towards financial freedom. And it's how you can discover ways to take 10 years off your retirement, add an extra 5 or 6 figures to your portfolio, and finally get clear on what numbers you should be tracking in your business and why. Together, we'll gain clarity around your financial goals and what being financially free would actually look like for you. Then we'll put together a customized game plan to get you there and the accountability to see you through. And by the way, you're also going to get all the spreadsheets you need to run your numbers, lifetime access to the materials, including any updates, and entry into our members-only community. In addition to all the knowledge, coaching, community, and systems that you need to create financial freedom from your business, you'll also receive a free financial assessment, a retirement planning session, and guided meditation aimed at helping you embody the feeling of true financial freedom. So yeah, you can just listen to the free content on these podcasts to help you move towards becoming a financially free entrepreneur. And sure, you'll likely see some results, or you can make the decision to commit to learning, implementing, and embodying what you need to know to create the financially free life you dreamed of when you started your business journey. Click the link in the show notes to answer a quick questionnaire, and you'll be on your way to joining the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur.